Hello, everybody. Welcome in once more. Casual Sports Podcast, folks. We're wrapping up our first week here on ysnlive.com, and it's been a great one for us. Over 100 views total every day. It's been fantastic. Thank you all for the early support. And we're back once again. We got some high school football to talk about, college, and some big games coming up this weekend. And my favorite Chanticleer is getting ready for a top 15 ranking here next week. Calling it right now.
We got to get him in on the show.
Got to get him in. Got to talk about the Chanticleers every week. We're getting the flag up here next month or so. But I'm out to burn it back with me here this afternoon. Mike Wolfgang, Matt Morrison.
Woo! Let's go!
Okay.
I had to throw that in there.
Yeah, all right. Got to yell into some microphones here as DJ was talking about.
Yeah, I know.
But
I just did that on purpose.
So Matt's known for, so we're
there you go, DJ. That's a scream into the microphone.
Yeah.
Definitely
forgot my question of the day for today, so gonna skip over that segment. Definitely forgot about it.
It's in your room. Go get it. Hurry up.
And you got to give the answer too.
Yeah, I got that one here. Give me a second.
He's always unprepared.
You know, he just talked about you being prepared for your week out of the week, and
now he's worried. He's always worried about me, and you know.
we just talked about this. Be prepared. You got to be prepared.
Yeah, you know what? I'm the guy that's always prepared for this show. All right, question of the day. Let's get into it. Which receiver caught 16 passes in the 2018 game? The answer to that one was Michael Thomas. Get that out of here. And your question of the day for today:
Mike.
Who was the oldest person at the time of their induction into the Pro Football Hall of Fame? Ed Sabol, Gale Sayers, Steve Belichick, and Ralph Wilson Jr. Tune in tomorrow, see if you get the question right, or start studying up. All right, Matt.
Nice rebound there.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice
Question. Nice adjustment.
Just burned it right in there.
Hey, leave comments during the show. I know these people are watching. Leave comments. We had over 100 views the past 3 days. Leave comments. Let us know how we're doing. Or just say hi.
Get involved in the show.
Get involved, people.
Matt, let's talk a little bit about our high school game here tonight.
Yes.
Brookfield Warriors hosting Campbell.
Woo!
Randy Clark picking up win 100 against Western Reserve 2 weeks ago. Their game last week, though, got canceled due to COVID. Now they're coming back here hosting Campbell. Start of their MVAC play for Brookfield. Campbell, on the other hand, trying to rebound. They're 1-3 on the season.
Yeah.
But they picked up a win to start out their They did pick up a win over East Palestine. They lost to Crestview last week to start MVAC
play.
play.
They killed East Palestine, so maybe that was a little bit of a momentum game. Maybe they found themselves a little bit.
They're going to need to get going here against Brookfield.
Rolling. Steamrolling. You got Donovan Pulaski. You have Dave Pulaski.
Christian Davis, the freshman.
Christian Davis. God, if they gave a Heisman Trophy in high school, this kid would win.
Yeah, he's a bullet.
Oh my gosh. It's awesome.
Didn't I call him a porcupine on speed or something?
Yeah, porcupine on speed.
He just breaks every tackle and goes.
Yeah. It bounces off people.
I mean, it should be a great game here tonight. You can tune into that on YSN Live at 7 p.m. Campbell Memorial Red Devils at
Tune
Brookfield.
in if you want to hear our beautiful voices.
Yeah, right. And then, Matt, tomorrow we have a special game, 1 p.m. Saturday. For coming in from Toledo is the Waite Indians, and they're taking on the Howland Tigers. Howland Tigers they had the big win week 1, and actually I want to read out this special stat that came out of it. You and I call that game Niles versus Howland, and in the week 1 victory over Niles, the kicker, Ashley Macias, became the first female to account for every single point of a high school varsity football game per the OHSAA.
She's great. Her aunt comes into where I work. I've taught her aunt. Her aunt's always so hype about her playing, and she could have had 9 points in that game.
Yeah, I mean, but, she won the game, and she credited her defense and the offense for getting her into the positions and holding Niles to 0 points, because Niles gets any points in that game, I mean, it's over, because Howland's offense couldn't drive all the way. But Matt Woomer's absolutely crushing it, over 500 yards already. He had 500 yards last season. He's already at that mark on 97 carries this season.
That's the guy that got them into field goal, right?
Right.
Every drive, he was awesome.
That man is a tank. Just running over people, and we're excited to see him tomorrow. It should be a great game between Howland and Waite. We're excited to see the results. Waite 0-2 on this season. They've already had 2 games canceled due to COVID stuff. Howland 1-3. So I guess we'll have to find out. I mean, in this game, Waite is Division II. They're ranked 77th, but they're ranked 415th in the state. You go over to Howland side, they're actually ranked higher in the state at 346, despite being ranked 67th in Division III.
Yeah.
So a division separates the two, but state rankings have Howland in the lead for this one. So it should be a great game. You can also tune into that one tomorrow on YSN at 1 p.m. Special time for the game. Wade didn't want to sleep over, so doing it midday.
Midday.
You guys got 2 good games to call. I mean, we'll see if Campbell can turn things around against a good Brookfield team. Then you got the 1 o'clock game tomorrow, so good games coming up for you guys.
Yep, and
I'm
well,
ready to
folks,
rock and roll, man.
let's get
And
straight.
make sure you listen to both of them, too.
Yeah, we're awesome.
That's something, yeah. Well, let's get into things here on the rundown for today. We're talking Bama, Florida, Auburn, Penn State, Virginia, UNC, Arizona State, BYU, Coastal Carolina, Buffalo, and we'll talk a little bit about the Giants and Washington football team game from last night, as well as we'll give an NFL preview for this coming weekend. So, folks, stay tuned. We also have a very special award coming up at the end of it if Matt can figure something out.
I got it.
Okay.
I figured it out with like 3 seconds into the countdown.
So we're relying on Matt to have something
With my
done
help,
here.
we
So
figured it out. I helped you out.
Okay, I'm Mr. Reliable.
I helped.
I don't think I've ever called you that.
I called myself that.
Well, that's
Well.
good enough.
Yeah, I
counts.
guess it's something. So
It's something.
let's get into it. Pretty much game of the week. Alabama, Florida.
Ooh.
A lot of people are saying, oh, it's going to be a blowout. Alabama kills them every year. It's not close. Florida Gators, though, they love the guy that they got running the show for them. They had a good game last week against USF. Granted, USF is 0-2, but 42-20. And they love their guy in Emory Jones. In that game, he did have 2 picks. But, I mean, it was kind of a throwaway game for him. 14-22, 151 yards, a touchdown, and interception. But the team has been very high, and they have some pretty good backs. Emory Jones won out of the quarterback slot, went 13 carries for 81 yards and a touchdown. Anthony Richardson had just 4 carries for 115 yards, so obviously breaking off a big touchdown there for him. But, I mean, they had, 7 guys go over 20 rushing yards in this ball game, and only 2 of them didn't make it over 30, and they had 3 guys over 50 yards in multiple rushing touchdowns. So they have a tough run game. It's just a question of Alabama. They're a damn good team.
They're pretty good.
44 plus points in both of their first 2 games, and in both games they've held their opponent to just 2 scores. 13 is how many Miami put up, and then Mercer actually put up even more in 14 by 1 point. So Alabama, right?
Wow.
Alabama.
This is
Obviously,
their
the favorite.
first
They have
test.
Bryce Young. They got their young quarterback too, but he's tested and he's looked good. 7 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. So it's just a matter of how long can Florida hold Bama at bay.
That's where I was going to go.
I mean, it's just like, and it was just like you're looking at the Browns facing the Chiefs. How long can you hold back Mahomes before they just start killing you? And that's the same thing with Bama. When you go in, hold them back, build your lead, and then try and defend it.
I mean, good teams usually let, not stinky teams, but teams that are lesser than them hang around, especially for the first half, somewhat into the third quarter. So let's see if Florida can do that. When I talked about before the show, I think Bama's going to win big. It's nothing against Florida. They're good, like you just touched on.
They're
it's just
scrappy.
Alabama.
They're a scrappy team, but I mean, we've talked about Bama time and time again. They're just stacked.
I mean, if
If
Florida
an offensive lineman goes down, they have Hick's best guy
Yeah.
there.
And it's the guy that'll get drafted in 3
Yeah.
years.
I mean, if Florida can get that running game, I mean, you showed what they had in some of those games. I mean, they had good running attacks. If they can get that going, it's just like I said. It's just I don't think it's enough to beat Alabama in this game.
It'll
We'll see
be
that.
a tough uphill battle. Bama's obviously got some good rushing as well for them. I mean, they're great everywhere. I don't think they necessarily have the names that they've had in the past, but they got some guys that can ring the bell, and they're going to try and blow this one out, make a statement here, beating a top 15 team. And if Florida does lose this, we'll see how they start reeling. I mean, obviously they have an SEC schedule ahead of them. We'll take on Tennessee next week, Kentucky and Vanderbilt, so potentially a few easier games. And then they'll go into Baton Rouge to take on LSU. And that's always a tough place to play in Death Valley before they then host Georgia in the Florida-Georgia game. And then they'll have a better end to the season. Their last 4 games pretty easy, including an FCS opponent. So really, they can use this as their one loss, but then they have to go in and beat Georgia.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that is the situation right now of how they stay in the playoffs. Right now, even if Alabama loses, they're still going to be a top 5 team come the next AP poll, especially depending on the result. But, I mean, they have a tough schedule on their own. They'll have Ole Miss coming up here in 2 weeks. Then they get to go into Texas A&M, and then ending the season, taking on Arkansas, and then in the Iron Bowl against Auburn to finish things out. And, we're still waiting to see how good Auburn's going to be. Yeah. We'll talk about their game here against Penn State up next. But, both these teams and some tough schedules coming up. We know Alabama can, run the schedule through it no problem.
Yeah.
It's Nick Saban, the greatest coach to ever coach college football, and maybe just coach any football at any level. So, obviously, he wasn't the best in the NFL, but if you look at his resume, no coach can compare.
No.
So, let's make a prediction here. You already picked Alabama. Florida.
Wait, can I? I'm going to pick Alabama.
Go ahead.
I've been going back and forth between if I think it's going to be a blowout or somewhat closer. Before the show, I was going with blowout, but I think Florida can keep it close. I still say Bama wins by like two touchdowns.
Scores. I got it right there. I think Bama's going to at least get them by 2 touchdowns. Florida will hang in, but I think the wear and tear from Alabama will just.
And I don't think they're going to hang in until late in the game. It's going to be at least end of the second quarter to halftime. Then
maybe the start of the third quarter.
All right, my prediction here, I'm going to steal one from Abraham Lincoln. 4 scores is how much Alabama's winning it by.
Oh, God.
They're taking them out. This game will be over by halftime. It's a 3:30 start. By 5 p.m., this one's over.
Oh, man.
Calling it right here. Gators don't stand a chance. This is Alabama we're talking about, guys.
I know that. Like I said before,
this is Bryce Young's Heisman statement right here. This puts him clear in the lead. People already have him high up there. We talked about our thoughts on the Heisman a few days ago, but this one is Bryce Young's standout moment. He kills the Gators.
We'll see.
Next game up, your guys' game, home of Saquon Barkley. Still don't know who the celebrity guest picker is, but he played last night. Should be free this weekend, so you never know. Saquon.
It was funny. After the show yesterday, we were talking about Saquon should be the guest picker, and then literally an hour later, I saw on Twitter, hey, Saquon's off. Somebody else said it. Be the guest picker. So
maybe they were tuning in to us.
Maybe because you hear everything first here. So.
Oh, totally.
Oh, yeah.
But this game, it's definitely an interesting one coming into it. I think it's really the first real test for
either team.
Both sides. Obviously, Wisconsin was probably your biggest test so far, and they're a number 18 team. Your offense kind of dreadful in that ball game.
They were finding themselves.
They were finding
first game. They
obviously
haven't had that tough first game in a long time. They usually get the easy, like the second game should have been the first game.
Right, and that's what the Big Ten has really flipped around their schedule. They're starting things off with Big Ten conference play, then they'll let them go run the next 3 weeks down in no man's land and just start ripping up the opponents. Penn State, though, not getting exactly that brief of. Obviously, they get Ball State and Villanova, but putting in Wisconsin and Auburn, you love these big time matchups to start out the season.
Yeah, Villanova, then Indiana's not a slouch, and then gotta go play Iowa.
I'm so worried about that.
Then you get the week off against Illinois. Then you got to face Ohio State in Ohio State. Then you never know about Maryland. Then you face Michigan. Then Rutgers, and then Michigan State.
Look, I know Rutgers has sucked the past 20 plus years, but they're 2-0 right now. You don't know.
And Greg Schiano's got them working.
Yeah. You don't
Schiano
know
made
about
that program big when they were part of the Big East. He come back, and I was trying to reestablish them here in the Big Ten, and he's doing an all right job.
Yeah.
At least this season, turning 2-0.
I'm
You like to see it.
excited, to see what they can really do.
But if Maryland and Rutgers both turn out to be good this season, as well as Michigan and Michigan State, it's a long shot. But there's a chance you guys finish the season 0-5. It's a long shot. It's a long shot. That doesn't happen. But that's a chance.
Remember a couple years, Matt, because you're a Penn State fan.
Yeah.
The last couple years, remember how people would say, "Oh, Penn State don't. There's not many teams that challenge them." Look at that schedule.
Yeah,
that is one of the deadliest schedules in the league this year. In college football this year.
Yeah.
So
that's like you can compare that to the Steelers NFL schedule. Yeah. That is tough.
Definitely.
That's not going to be easy to do.
You guys had a lot of yards put up against you on the ground against Wisconsin with
Chez Malusi, man, that guy broke loose.
Malusi, you guys need to get that rush game going. Didn't do great week 1 against Wisconsin, but that's a tough Wisconsin defense there.
You gotta get Kane going.
Sean Clifford looked good against Ball State, 21-29, 230.
By the way,
only the one touchdown through the air, but
a good Ball State team too. By the way,
yeah.
They won the MAC last year. They won how many games consecutively?
What do you think
so they
of
aren't slouches.
This Taquan Robertson? He came in. I think his first pass was a touchdown.
Yeah, 23 yards.
Threw a dime.
He's the guy that's next. So.
And you guys have always shown this, just bringing in the next guy for a few reps here and there in a lot of these games. And
I like Kane is able, man. I've been saying.
Well, that's how I was going to go, Matt. So,
but,
if Penn State can get their running game going, Noah Kane, people forget how good he was last year before he got hurt. And Devin Ford.
He hasn't shown that he's had that bounce this year, though.
And that's where I was going to go. And Devin Ford, if they can get them two going, it's going to open up the running game. It's going to open up things for Sean Clifford and make him feel more comfortable in the passing game. So I look for that first because I want to see how that makes Sean Clifford play.
That Kayvon Lee, he had a kind of a rough first game, but he kind of bounced back in that second game. So maybe he'll find a little momentum there.
Yeah, I forgot to mention Lee. Yeah.
8 carries, 65 or 68 yards, 8.5 yards per carry. That's pretty good. And they're going to need a big game on the ground. But I think this game kind of rests more on Jahan Dotson. Can Clifford find Dotson and can he make the big plays? That's their playmaker.
Get him the ball.
Right.
They had trouble with that in that Week 1 game against Wisconsin.
And that's what hurt them. If you can't get it to your man, then an offense struggles. And Matt, you and I have seen it in some high school football games as well, calling it. If a team can't get one of their guys going, their main guy out of a wide receiver, it's so hard for them to move the ball. If there's drops, just good press coverage on him, and he can't find his way open, and offense really struggles to move. And Penn State needs to get Dotson the ball. They need to get him in space. Obviously, you guys have a lot of other good wide receivers, but Dotson is your man.
And you saw in that Wisconsin game. I mean, when things were kind of shaky coming out of halftime, that's who they went to open up the second half to get their scoring going.
Dotson awesome. Just had 5 receptions, but 102 yards and a touchdown, and
DeAndre
Lambert-Smith right behind him with 4 receptions, 71. And as you said, Washington, 4 receptions, 47 yards.
He's emerging.
And it could be a great guy for you, much like KJ Hamler, really just the game changer for you guys, the wide receiver spot. You always seem to have that one wide receiver who's really a standout among the rest.
And a couple other good guys.
Right. And it really seems to be Dotson right now. It's his time.
Speaking of receivers, Deshaun Hamilton's going to be there tomorrow, too.
Yeah,
and Grant Haley, too.
Oh, man, Deshaun Hamilton.
So, Saquon, you better be there.
I like Deshaun Hamilton.
But, yeah, something else I was thinking about. Penn State's offensive line's pretty good.
They always have a great
And I want to see how it is against Auburn's defensive line. I mean, Auburn's had 9 sacks in their first 2 games so far, so that'll be a good matchup to watch.
I mean, you look at their opponents. They started off against Akron 60-0.
I know, but
then Alabama State 62-0. Auburn hasn't had to do anything yet. I think they come into this game and really struggle in this first half against the top 10 team, or what we think is a top 10 team. It's so early in the season, it's hard to tell if a team is really that good or not. You really have to wait until we hit week 3, because at least just about every team has faced a good opponent at this point now through this weekend. And, I mean, Bo Nix, he's got all the hype in the world. Question is, can he put it on the field against that Alabama State team? They really ran the ball a ton, so they didn't have to use his arm too much, but he went 9 of 17, 108 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 2 of your 9 receptions went for a touchdown. So, I mean, you like that. A lot of carries on the ground. They have a great rushing game. Jarquez Hunter, 8 carries, 147 yards. Cartavius Bigsby, 11 carries, 122 yards. And, I mean, those 2 guys having a 2-headed monster in the backfield with the running backs is so lethal. I mean, then you even go to their game against Auburn. Bo Nix was fantastic against Akron. 20 of 22, 275 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then Bigsby on the ground again, 13 carries, 110 yards, and Jarquez Hunter, 9 carries, 110 yards, and 3 rushing touchdowns from just those 2 guys in that first game as well. They have a lethal rush attack, so the defense is going to have to be great.
Yeah, and you went there with Bo Nix. That's where I was going to go next. I want to see the play of him and Sean Clifford, because they're pretty similar in the way they play and the way they get not hyped up, but the way they get talked about. They're better. They should be better than what they have been recently.
Right.
So I want to see how the play of those guys come in. I want to see how Bo Nix handles that electric crowd that's going to be, because I mean,
it's a whiteout, isn't it?
It's an SEC. Yeah, it's an SEC team coming up to a Big Ten team.
First time they've had a ranked an SEC opponent has come into a ranked Big Ten team, I think, since the 60s.
Yeah, I saw that stat earlier or something.
I believe it was Georgia, the last team to come in to do it.
So we'll see how an SEC team like this can handle I mean, the best crowd, Big Ten, probably college football has to offer, so we'll see how they handle that.
At least one of the whiteout crowd. Yeah. Definitely the biggest atmosphere in football. I think the every week in and out may not be, but the whiteout.
That team up north I saw on Saturday, they tried to copy it with that maze out. That was cute on their part, but it's not going to work. It's not the whiteout.
The Big House just doesn't have that resonating.
Michigan can never compare to us on the playing field, and certainly not in the crowd. Dear God.
I mean, I think the only Big Ten opponent that can really match them in terms of that crowd energy, I don't know if I could say Ohio State. I want to say Iowa.
Or Wisconsin.
Yeah, Iowa's pretty. Yeah.
Wisconsin, if they're good and if they actually care. But I mean,
Iowa,
you always go in there and you face a crowd, man. Whether they're 5-5, 2-8, you go in there and you are facing the crowd.
It's scary, man.
And
they have the 12th and 13th man on either side of you.
You even saw the year, didn't it?
It's like
that year they beat Ohio State.
It's like
they weren't a great team.
College football.
Right.
The year they beat Ohio State, the year Penn State almost lost to them. I mean, they're even when they're not bad, but like average, their crowds are like electric. So it's scary to go into, especially now when they're good. They're ranked 5 they are.
5th.
Yeah.
So
it'll be a test this season for anyone going into Iowa.
Oh God.
But I mean, I would like to say Ohio State, but if I'm being honest, having I think those early games just kind of kill the energy of a crowd. I mean,
it does.
Ohio State has maybe 1 or 2 night games a year,
if that,
and they're on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, I think last season they had 1 away or 1 home night game, maybe, and it's just this big noon kickoff. I think kills the energy at the Horseshoe.
Yeah,
it does.
They have a better game day atmosphere than what they get out of it.
Right.
Speaking of game day, they're coming to Penn State.
Oh yeah, of course, man. It's a way out.
Yeah.
But like,
we talked about that already.
Yeah. But, like, if Ohio State gets a night game, they showed it when they win against Nebraska. They had a blackout with 6,000 people in the stands, and it was deafening on the microphones against Nebraska. When you get that nighttime atmosphere in Columbus, it's fantastic. But they just don't get it. For whatever reason, scheduling just wants them earlier in the day.
They love those big noon kickoffs, especially for the Buckeyes. They love. I mean,
Fox just wants to put them up
first. They just always want them on.
So. Yeah. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's Fox prime time, is that noon kickoff game. And let's make a prediction for this one here. We don't want to go too much time on one unit because we got so much space. I have a good feeling what you guys are going to pick here.
So you go first, then.
All right.
No, wait.
No, I want him to go first.
We know where you're going, so go first.
That's why I want him to go first.
Oh, okay.
Go first.
All right. Penn State has had a lot of question marks early in the season here. Whether or not Sean Clifford is the guy that can drive him. Because, I mean, it's... No question, they have the guys around him, and he's been good in the past. But obviously, you saw it last season, just the struggles they had for that first part of the season. Obviously, they made the comeback in the last half. It wasn't enough in the end because you fell behind too far early. And then you see it coming in here against Wisconsin week 1. It was an okay performance, I thought. A lot of room to improve.
Got the win.
If they find Dotson here in the game, I think it's a better offensive strategy. They can really spread the ball out and then get Kane the ball as well. They need all 3 facets of the game, the pass, the rush, and the defense, to all come in this ball game, because this is an SEC opponent. Don't forget this. This isn't some ACC or Pac-12 team coming in here, or Big 12, who's, you never know if you're really going to get it that week. This is Auburn, a team that loves to upset top 10 opponents, coming into other people's home and making them cry all the way back to, their house. Auburn is such a physical opponent. Their ground game is phenomenal. Bo Nix is their only question mark. He's been a Heisman candidate for the last 2 seasons, but he's always fallen off. He doesn't have the ability to put it together, much like we're waiting which quarterback takes off in this ball game is going to be the first to win it. And I think the tide turner in this one is Beaver Stadium. Happy Valley, whiteout, 7:30. I think it's close. I go 32-28 Penn State.
That's close. I gotta go Penn State by a field goal, 27-24.
Okay,
it's
close. So as you talk about the whiteout, keep in mind they didn't have it last year, so it's been 2 years in the making. We know how electric it is. Like I said, an SEC team coming in, Auburn's never... I mean, there's good crowds in the SEC, but they haven't had something like this. I agree with everything you just said. For all the reasons, it's going to be close. But I'm leading with Penn State 31-24.
All right. So 3 pick Penn State. I'll put it out there that we did have.
And it's not that. Let me be fair. It's not that I'm a Penn State fan. That's just. I mean, Penn State's not always great in the whiteout. I mean, they've had losses against Ohio State. They've lost other games too.
When Ohio State was top 5, don't forget that.
When Ohio State's they're probably higher than that too in the past.
But it's one.
But it's always been close games. Like Ohio State never blew them out. I mean, last year there's no fans there, but it's hard to deal with. It's an avalanche of sound. It's sound from kickoff to end. So it's hard to go with.
Well, I think I need to get a bell here on the show. I've been ringing it all week long. I got another upset in the book. So ding, ding, ding. Virginia Cavaliers gonna go into UNC, number 21 ranked Tar Heels. I think they pull off the upset. I'm not sure if it's an upset. Virginia's 2-0 on the season. UNC is 1-1. They've looked average. They beat an FCS opponent week 1. It was Western Carolina. They beat it 49-9. Then week 2, they took on number 15 Virginia Tech, lost by a touchdown. Sam Howell had the Heisman hype, but 17-32 with 3 interceptions. It was pretty abysmal. They have an okay ground game. No one really stands out though in that ball game. And this last game against Georgia State, they really put the pedal down. But you like the performance from Sam Howell, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, just 8 misses. In the pass game. The rush game really found it, but it was on the legs of Sam Howell. He had 11 carries, 104 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but they don't have somebody else on the ground. And on the other side of this, Virginia has looked like a pretty good team. They just wiped the floor with Illinois, a Big Ten opponent, 42-14 in that ball game. Their quarterback, Brendan Armstrong, 27-36, 405 yards and 5 touchdowns, just 1 interception against it. They don't have the ground game that I think UNC has, but they had multiple guys. 5 here over 20 yards. No one was over 40, but they spread the ball around well. Their first 2 games were against nobody opponents, so you really just wipe those away. The first game was against William and Mary, 43-0. So it's hard to look at that game. But Brendan Armstrong has been fantastic for Virginia at the moment. I would have him up there in the Heisman conversation if he pulls off this win here against UNC and puts up 300-plus yards again, because his numbers right now are incredible. I like Virginia in this ball game, and I like them big, too. I don't think it'll be a field goal. I think this will be 2 possessions, 10, 14 points towards Virginia. So, I got my upset bell back on. What do you guys think?
I gotta go. Great analysis, by the way. But Sam Howell, he had all that hype in the preseason, Heisman and everything, and I think it got to him a little bit. Not gonna lie, I think it got in his head. Ooh, I'm up for this big award, and it got in his head too much, and he underperformed. I think he bounces back from this, and they come back and they win.
I think they
got a great program. This is Mac Brown, right? Mac Brown, legendary head coach. Probably the last time he was coaching Texas was good.
Yeah.
And ever since then, they've been abysmal. But I think he's the right man for this job to get North Carolina back on the map. Sam Howell's good. He just underperformed a little bit. I think this got hyped up too much, that's all.
That first loss there, it was Virginia Tech, right? They lost to.
Yeah, and it was only by 7.
It was only by 7.
To a ranked opponent.
That too, and it was on the road. And a couple of times they shot themselves in the foot, their offense.
Yeah.
And Sam Howell could have played better in that game. I still think they're better. 21's a fair spot because they did lose week 1, but they're better than some people are giving them credit for. I still like Carolina in this game.
Ooh,
yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
So, Matt, you picked UNC?
Yeah.
You picked UNC. Gave me that underdog right here. I got Virginia, and a lot of the sports betting sites have been taking Virginia to at least cover the spread in this one. I couldn't find what the spread was here.
Oh, okay.
I think Virginia covers, and I think they win.
Okay. Oh.
So, I'm taking Virginia by 2 possessions.
Okay.
I like them here. This one probably our closest game, I think, up here next we're going to be talking about. Number 19, Arizona State versus number 23, BYU. I really like this one. Both teams are 2-0. BYU has had 2 big wins already over Pac-12 opponents. They beat Arizona week 1, 24-16. Week 2, they beat Utah 26-17. I'm liking them right now in the season. Jaron Hall, their quarterback, 18-30, 149 yards and 3 touchdowns. So they got put in great spots by their defense. And Tyler Allgeier, 27 carries, 97 yards. Jaron Hall from the quarterback spot also had 92 yards. So they got some guys. They need some more out of their wide receivers core. You go back to that Arizona game as well. Jaron Hall, just spectacular. He's clean, and you like that out of your quarterback. 18-28, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. Allgeier again had 17 carries, 94 yards, and a touchdown in that ball game. So, they have a very balanced attack, and I think that's what they're going to need coming into this ball game against Arizona State, who hasn't had a lot of competition right now. Week 1, they faced off against Southern Utah, won it 41-14. Their quarterback, Jalen Daniels, was clean in that ball game too, 10-12, so they didn't have to use him that much. No passing touchdowns for him, but all their touchdowns came on the ground in that ball game. 6 rushing touchdowns, and they spread the ball out well that way. And then they went up against UNLV last week, 37-10 victory there. and Daniels was pretty clean. He had one interception, but 20 and 29, and he also had a great ground performance as well. 13 carries, 122 yards. Rashad White had 2 touchdowns on the ground with 90 yards. Nagata on the ground also had 64 yards and a touchdown. They need more passing as well. Both these squads need to get that pass game working, but this will be a tough physical ground game from both sides, and it's going to come down to the wire.
I like BYU in this game.
I gotta go BYU,
You got BYU?
as well.
I know Arizona's, they're coming off an okay season, and they got a lot of hype going their way, and oh man, they are looking good. BYU though, coming right back after Zach Wilson gets drafted and still performing. You love to see that.
They're still hanging in there.
Still hanging in there, and this is a great spot for them, starting off with 3 Power 5 wins over Pac-12 opponents before they start conference play. And I mean, they'll also end the season in USC in that Coliseum in LA. So I mean, it should be.
They got to play Boise State too.
They got to play Boise, who's always a tough opponent. But they should have an easy ride from here on out until they face obviously Boise and USC. But then they'll also take on Virginia later on. So never mind, they don't have an easy schedule at all. Being an independent actually, because they're not in a conference yet. Forgot about that. But I believe they are the team that's joining the Big 12 in the next few seasons. So we'll see that. Man, this is just such a tough game, and you guys both like BYU in this one. I think I take BYU as well. Very close, and I think it's very easy either squad comes out with a win in this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I just think BYU has momentum coming off wins against Arizona and Utah. They know the schedule they have ahead. If BYU goes undefeated, I think there's a chance they are in the college football playoff.
And you talked about Arizona State. They look good, but there's still some question marks.
Right.
So there's still areas that they can improve on, get some things going on offense.
And obviously they have a similar schedule with the Pac-12. Obviously they'll take on Arizona, USC, Utah, Washington State, UCLA, Colorado. So both sides have some tough schedules coming up, so they need these early season wins to really solidify that. BYU, I think, has the momentum. I think they take this one, but very close. And let's go in. I think it's becoming my second favorite team right now. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. 2-0 on the season right now. This isn't a big game by any standard. They're going up against Buffalo.
We just have to squeeze them in.
It's kind of like me in basketball, where I like Loyola Chicago, and football you like Coastal Carolina.
Right. Buffalo week 1 though absolutely smacked around the Wagner Seahawks, but I mean you expected it. There's nothing really special about Buffalo. They got smacked around by Nebraska last week. Adrian Martinez went all over them with over 200 yards, nearing 250. Had 2 touchdowns as well. And their quarterback couldn't really find much. Their rushing game's kind of average. You go over to the Coastal side of things, and they've looked like they should so far. They've had 2 easy wins over Campbell Fighting Camels and the Citadel. So when you go to this last game, and Grayson McCall was near perfect, 16 of 19, 262 yards and a touchdown. Their ground game was Shamari Jones, 9 carries, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Reese White had 2 touchdowns on 7 carries.
And the Kansas game.
Yeah, they had the Kansas game. Actually, Campbell was last season, sorry. But yeah, they went in there against an ACC opponent in Kansas, and they played well in that one. McCall, 17 of 21, so he's been clean this season. I mean, missing under 10 passes through 2 games. 2 touchdowns in that ball game. Reese White, 102 yards and 3 touchdowns. This one is another game. Coastal's got to wipe the floor. There is no question coming into this one. It's Coastal's game to lose, and it'll be on ESPN2 tomorrow at noon. Want to see my Chanticleers take
There's really
on
nothing
the
special in this game. We just had to talk about
No,
it.
we just got to talk about the Chanticleers, that's all.
Chanticleers, we're getting their flag up here, so we got to talk.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get a flag. Absolutely.
All right. Over halfway into the show, let's get into the NFL talk.
Let's do it.
We might have to rapid fire a few off at the end, but we'll start off with a great game from last night, Thursday Night Football.
Man.
Giants, Washington. I don't remember what our predictions for this game was, but
I don't know if we did any, did we?
I picked.
I know I definitely picked Washington.
Did we?
Yes.
There's no way I picked the Giants.
You picked it. What'd you pick then?
I'm taking Heineke all the way.
Oh, that's true.
Daniel
that's
Jones
true.
isn't good.
Yeah, that's true. I think
He played all right last night, though, but he also led the team in rushing. The team around him, I think, is what really
it's 6 in
sucks.
primetime games. You can't win in primetime.
Neither can Kirk Cousins.
Nope.
I got something for them later.
I'm sure you do, but
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley
Dear God.
turned into a kind of a bust. He had the
He
great
is,
rookie
Mike.
season, but
I know
between
we
the
like him.
injuries and the lack of production this season already,
And listen.
through the first 2 games against defenses that have been, I mean, he hasn't faced bad defenses between the Broncos and then the Giants, but man, he just
It's
hasn't
not the
shown.
offensive
Wait,
line.
that
in his
burst.
defense, those
Listen.
are 2 top defenses in the league.
But listen, it's not it's not his offensive line because Daniel Jones break off for 95 yards rushing.
The defense clearly is
So-
planning for Barkley at this
Right.
point.
He got hit.
But Matt, you can live with Daniel Jones beating you
Yeah.
on the ground. I mean, who would you rather have beating you on the ground, Daniel Jones or Barkley?
I mean, at this point, Barkley.
What? No.
Matt, come on, don't.
Look at this.
When Daniel Jones beats you on the ground, you can win the football game.
Sure.
If you let,
If
okay,
Saquon wins on the
Barkley
ground,
broke
it's
out
safe.
through that big run. We got outside. I'm like, oh my god, all right.
Chase
They
Young
have-
ran
they-
him out of bounds.
And honestly, though, in his defense, I don't think they're. I think they're limiting him because he's kind of injury prone. He still has
and
that
again,
knee.
not
And-
to defend him because he's a
No.
Penn State guy, but he
Yeah.
just came off a torn ACL and he
Yeah.
played 2 games in 5 days.
Yeah, so
That's
they're
tough.
not going to give him the ball.
I think that's why they limited him in the week
13
one
carries.
performance.
Yeah, definitely, and that's
So-
why we didn't know if he was going to play last night until like a couple hours before the game.
I mean, he said he was still playing through the pain a little bit, but
And I came off an ACL injury.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My freshman, so I know the recovery process. I know what it feels like. Obviously, the trainers in the NFL are far better than what I was working
yeah,
with.
you were
but-
with Coach
and you're not an
Hall.
athlete.
Yeah, I was
You're
with
not-
Coach
you're not a
Hall.
star athlete either.
Right.
Coach Hall.
I'm not an athlete who has tons of muscle around my knees to protect that.
You know what he was playing when he tore his ACL?
Matt, shut up.
Why don't you tell the crowd
It was
here?
ultimate frisbee. It happened.
Ultimate for his.
Matt, if you tear your ACL on anything,
I know.
any
but-
sport, anything.
I mean, but this is.
Says the
this
guy that
can
doesn't know how
slide.
to drive.
Hey.
So, you know what? There we go.
Well, this can
Two can play-
slide.
Matt, stop. Two can play at this game. I got injured, torn ACL. I'm just saying I know the process of coming back. I know what it
I
feels
know.
like trying to
It
get that
was
leg loose
ultimate.
again. So,
It was ultimate.
shut up, Matt. But, let's get back to the actual sports here that we're
All
talking about.
right.
But give credit to Mr. Heineken. Tyler Heineke, 34 of 46, 335 yards, 2 touchdowns. Threw the pick that almost threw the game away. And then you go down to the end of the ball game, a missed field goal, but an offsides penalty gives the Washington football team another chance. They close the deal in that last quarter. But we almost saw again here in week 2, not being able to score in the first quarter.
I
nearly cost
thought
Washington.
you would do that first quarter because we talked about it yesterday on the show.
If you don't win that first quarter, and they didn't win the third quarter either, like 2 of the most important, or probably the 2 most important quarters in football, and they're still able to come out with the win, and that just gives a credit to their defense down in that fourth quarter, really holding back Giants, and the offense, it came together in the second and fourth quarter, so give the credit.
Yeah, you got to give it. I mean, this was a good game, as you said. It started out kind of
It's-
boring, like I said,
Yeah,
but it
I
picked
fell
up towards the
asleep
end.
at the beginning of it, and then I woke up in my cave. This was a good game.
Nice,
Alright.
nice analysis.
I mean, I fell asleep. It was boring.
I mean, down the stretch, though, great game, a lot of scoring that second half. But
Field goals, man.
Washington, man, what a gutsy performance down there. Coming in
Yeah.
without Fitzpatrick, putting your backup and having the trust in him to still run the offense. Heineke getting 46 passes in that ball game. McLaurin was racking up the stats. So was J.D. McKissick. I mean, they were really going all over the place. Even Adam Humphries had 7 receptions in that ball game. That's the guy whose name we really haven't called in a while. Ricky Seals-Jones had a reception
What
for
a
a
great
touchdown.
catch. Oh my gosh. Great ball placement by Heineke. He had the interception, but man, he sure did get that back. He came back. His eyes showed determination. Like this, there's nobody stopping this kid right now.
Yeah.
He's just boom, boom, boom.
He had the confidence to be a quarterback here in the NFL, and he showed it.
At the beginning of their drive where that Seals-Jones touchdown where you saw, I think you guys seen the highlights, right? The commentators were like, it was Joe Buck and who was it? The old
Troy.
Yeah, Troy Aikman. They're like they don't have to go quick here. They can run the ball if they want to. Boom, 2 passes, touchdown. Like it was so quick. I'm like, well, I guess they wanted to hurry it up.
All right, Matt, let's roll here into NFL for this week, and we'll get the preview on here. First game, New England Patriots versus the New York Jets, both team 0-1.
Yeah.
Obviously, New England coming off a good performance, as well as New York. Both teams were in a possession of their opponent last week. Both sides running with rookie quarterbacks, Zach Wilson, Mac Jones. So early season matchup, and it's just the offense for New York, 30th in the league right now. Their defense also bad, 15th. Their rushing offense, 31st, and passing 25th. I mean, it's an uphill battle for New York, despite the fact that both these teams have the same record. The defense for the Patriots is on top of it right now, 6th in the country for the NFL. And it'll be a fun game, I think, but I think it's one Mac Jones pulls out.
Yeah, like you said, it's an interesting one, too, the 2 rookie quarterbacks. And New England has better skill guys around them, so I like them in that game.
I agree with both you guys. New England, Mac Jones had a great first game. Dolphins just a little too much. They know each other more. This is a fairly new Patriots team. They got a lot of their guys from last year, and a bunch of trades and stuff like that. And they, young quarterback and Mac Jones. I think they find the rhythm here. I think they get the win.
All right, game 2 here. 1-0 Broncos, 0-1 Jacksonville Broncos. Ranking up high there in the offensive rating, 12th on offense, 8th in defense, 19th in passing. So the passing game needs to step up with Bridgewater, but that rushing game shakes right now in the country. But if on the flip side, Jacksonville, passing-wise, they're 9th. So, their young guy and the guy everyone's expecting, Trevor Lawrence, to really start leading the team. He's there. He's 9th in passing offense this season. The rushing game, they need to get that going here if they want to stand a chance. In the defense, has to find something better than they did last week, 27th through week 1. So they got to get this one together. Last meeting, Jacksonville beat the Broncos back in 2019, 26-24. I don't think we get the same result. I think Bridgewater and the Broncos prevail. So
I agree.
All right, next game up, the 0-1 Bills, despite a good performance week 1, taking on the Miami Dolphins, who also had a pretty good performance week 1. They picked up their win. Teams are about even in terms of offensive rating. 22nd for the Bills, 28th for the Dolphins. And then the defense-wise, Bills much better in that category. 4th best defense in the NFL right now. 17th for Miami. So that's the separator. But with both sides' offense being pretty okay, the Bills kind of hold all the advantages here. Last match between these two teams, just last season in January, Bills put up 56 points over the Dolphins. So I think the Bills come back out, pick up their first win of the season. Miami struggles to pass the ball, can't get it done.
Yeah, Buffalo's going to come out motivated after that.
Yeah,
weird performance.
Nothing against my Pittsburgh team at all, but if it wasn't for that blocked punt, it takes skill to do that. I get that, but if it wasn't for that, I think Buffalo might have pulled that off. So.
All right, well, next game up here, San Francisco versus Philadelphia, in a game that you almost want to give the edge to San Francisco due to their experience, but if you look at the rankings in terms of these teams, it's really Philadelphia who kind of has the lead in this one. Offensively, they're 7th and 8th, with the Niners just edging them out. Defensive-wise, though, Philadelphia's looking good, 7th right now. Jimmy G and the 49ers are 23rd. I should say Nick Bosa in that defense, 23rd. Passing-wise, this 49ers team holds a slight advantage, 12th to 18th. Rushing game back to the Eagles. So this is a real neck-and-neck ball game. I'm loving Jalen Hurts as the guy for this squad.
Absolutely. Especially throwing it out there to Devontae Smith and Jalen Reagor is even coming around too. I like this Eagles team.
I got the Eagles taking this one close. I think the 49ers give them a run for the money. I think there's a chance they take it, but I'm liking Jalen so far this season.
Jalen's going to hurt.
It's going to make him hurt. Anything, Mike?
Those stats against the rankings for Philly,
through just 1 week, so a long way.
It's just 1 week, and they did beat up bad against Atlanta, so we'll see what they can do against the Niners.
Next game up here, Los Angeles Rams, Indianapolis Colts. Another one, similar in ratings. Passing game, though, far ahead for Matt Stafford and the Rams. They're coming off a good win week 1 against Washington. We've seen Washington's no pushover squad either, so I think you can really give credit to that week 1 win for them. And then on the flip side, Colts still struggling to find their momentum. I think the Rams take this one, take it big.
I like the Rams in this one too.
I gotta go Rams. Stafford's got the high hand, man.
Carson Wentz doesn't.
Nope, never has.
All right, next game up on the slate. Your team, Matt, Pittsburgh Steelers, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders. Both teams 1-0. Raiders number 3 in offense, number 3 in passing. The rush game hasn't been great. And the only good thing about your team right now, defense ranked 13th. Yep. Everything else in the bottom 20.
Yeah. Well, that's what's going to win the game, defense.
And if you look on the other side too, Raiders defense pretty bad, 21st. Their rush game obviously 22nd. So I think Derek Carr is going to be rolling along just fine. Question of, can they get Josh Jacobs the ball? Can they, spread this ball out and create those holes for the rushing game? Because Josh Jacobs has been one of the best backs in the league these last few seasons. And on the flip side, can the Steelers get Najee Harris the ball? He played all 53 snaps in that Week 1 game against the Bills, so he can stay out there. They need to get him the ball more. get it out of Big Ben's hands. He's older. You don't want him throwing it 50 times. They
Short
showed him last
passes
season that
as
they
well.
are not good to win a game if he is throwing that much, so they have to avoid doing that this week.
One thing that sticks out to me with the Raiders, I watched on the Monday night game, it seems like they don't even try to get to anybody else in the passing game besides
Except
Waller.
Darren Waller.
I mean, let's get Henry Ruggs involved. Let's get some other guys involved that you talked about. So I want to see that from them, and I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to take it away. But I want to see.
I want to see Ruggs involved. I want to see Hunter Renfro.
I want to see them get some guys involved, but I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to take it here because I like Derek Carr a lot. I've said on the show I like Derek Carr a lot. I'm just not sold on their offense.
We had a discussion about him a couple days ago. He was elite. I mean, he's perfect fit for this Raiders team.
Perfect fit for the Raiders. I got the Steelers defense pulling this one in.
I do too.
They won the game against the Bills. They win the game here against the Raiders, and I think this is where Big Ben and Najee Harris find their rhythm, get going on offense as well. I got Steelers taking it big at home.
Absolutely, me too.
Next game up here on the slate, 1-0 Bengals, 0-1 Bears. We haven't seen any changes in the offense for the Bears coming into Week 2 in terms of Justin Fields. And Joe Burrow's looked pretty good. Their defense, though, needs to hold up better. 9th best in rushing. I like Joe Mixon. I got the Bengals taking this one in Chicago.
I got it too. I got the Bengals. I don't see anything changing for the Bears if they keep home with Andy Dalton. So, sorry to put it that way.
Next game up, my 0-1 Brownies taking on the Houston Texans. It's in Cleveland. I think it'll be a great atmosphere coming off that great Week 1 game against Kansas City. 4th best offense in the NFL, 19th best in defense, but on the other side, 18th best defense for the Houston Texans, 6th best offense for the Houston Texans. This is the best matchup of the season, of this week, pardon me. Both teams are even. I mean, you look offensive-wise, 4th for the Browns, 6th for the Texans. Defense, 19th Browns, 18th defense. For passing, 13th for the Browns, 14th for Texans. Then rushing, 8th for the Browns, 7th for the Texans. This is such a neck-and-neck game. Last time out, though, this one, low-scoring affair back in 2020, 10-7 in favor of the Browns. This game in Cleveland, 1 p.m. start. I think coming off this big Week 1 game against the Chiefs, Browns take the momentum and the win.
I got it too. But they can't let Tyrod Taylor put on that performance he did last week, dear.
Well, you're right, Matt. They can't overlook Houston. So
no, not at all.
They're going to be comfortable coming home. I mean, they had the playoff year last year. The fans didn't get to see them last year, so they're going to be all hyped up to see this game. But I like the Browns in this one.
I like the Browns as well.
Well, battle of top 5 defenses tomorrow as well, and some offenses ranking up high in the 20s, so it should be a defensive matchup here. But the rush game has been working good for the Saints. They get to take on Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold. A battle of defense here. If Jameis Winston can get that passing game going, he had the 5 touchdowns, really no yards to show for it, so great spots. He put it in there on the money. You want to see that. But on the flip side, I think Darnold comes in with more momentum at the quarterback position. And
he's got a lot of guys around him. You got McCaffrey, you got Robbie Anderson, former Jet with them. They got a team.
I think without Slant Boy, I got the Carolina Panthers taking this one in a close ball game. I think it'll be 1 or 2 possessions, but I think Carolina takes out the Saints.
I like Carolina as well.
I get Carolina.
Oh, well, I thought I was going to be the only one there.
No,
I like Carolina.
I'm still not sold on the Saints, even though that.
No, I'm
not sold on Carolina either.
Yeah. I'm not sold on Jameis yet.
This one probably won't be close. Number 2 defense. Arizona Cardinals get to host the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings, they have the 6th best passing game. Kirk Cousins, though, he's always the big question mark. And the defense needs to be better in this offense right now for the Cardinals. I didn't think Kyler Murray was the guy. I've admitted I was wrong. He's the guy this year, and he's the guy for a long time. He's steamrolling. He's got those quick feet. I think Arizona takes this one big.
Oh, man. He's got everybody around him.
I think Arizona's too much speed
awesome.
for Minnesota to deal with, so I'm going with Cardinals.
All right. Falcons, Buccaneers. This one, I think a game Tampa Bay's got in the bag. The only thing good you can say about this Falcon squad, they're pretty good on the ground, 15th best, but on the flip side, Tampa Bay, one of the worst teams actually on the ground, but they were throwing it around the yard against Dallas Week 1, so you expect them to come back, probably run a little bit more, get that defense involved. The defense currently ranked 28th, but they were going up against Dallas, so I think they turned things around, flip the page on them, have a great defensive stand here, really move up in the rankings going into Week 3. I got Tampa Bay not even close.
I'm not giving Atlanta any chance in this game.
Did you just see Atlanta there? They're last in passing.
Yeah. I told him, get rid of Matt Ryan. He's not the guy. They need to get rid of him. I mean, he had the Super Bowl performance a few years ago, but he couldn't get the offense rolling in the second half. They blew 28-3 lead. So, You know what? It is what it is. Next game up, Matt's favorite Seattle Seahawks 1-0 against the 0-1 Tennessee Titans. Titans really haven't shown anything on the season. The ground game ranks just 21st in the country. Henry couldn't find the holes. I imagine he responds better in this ball game, and they got to give it to him. Let him steamroll. They got to find his momentum early in the season, get him going. Whether or not they win or lose this game, they have to give the ball to Henry and get him his momentum. I like Seattle in the season so far. We know they're the strongest first half of the season football team probably in the NFL. I think they take this one as well.
I like Tennessee. I don't think what we saw in the first game was who they are. So I think they're going to come back. It's going to be a close game. They're playing a good Seattle team, but I think they're going to come out. And
I guess Seattle, as long as Russ keeps cooking, they're going to be unstoppable for a little bit.
All right, one of the last few games we're talking about here, an afternoon game, Dallas Cowboys against the Los Angeles Chargers. Cowboys offense is up there. Defense needs to be better though a little bit. Granted, they were facing Tampa Bay. I think their defense does a little better. They're going up against the top 11 offense here. The defense for the Chargers were 6th. Passing game of 7th. Their rushing game down as well, 20th, but still along with your Cowboys. But neither team showed they were running the football in that week 1. I expect Zeke to get more carries here tonight. Look for him to have a bigger game here. Defense for the Cowboys is going to be a lot better against the Chargers, and your passing game is going to be just as strong. So I got Cowboys taking it here.
I like Dallas this game, but it's going to be close because there's no DeMarcus Lawrence. We don't know who's going to be rushing the passer. I mean, like I talked about, it could be Micah Parsons. That's probably why they drafted him, because I know we can play different places. But I'm going Dallas, but it's going to be close.
Same.
All right, final game, primetime matchup. Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, taking on Paddy Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. This one, an interesting matchup, passing versus rushing. In reality, 8th best passing offense for the Kansas City Chiefs, 23rd in passing for the Ravens through 1 week of play. So obviously all these numbers are going to be far different by the time we reach the end of the season. Rushing-wise, though, 3rd best in the country for the Ravens, and rushing-wise for Kansas City, just 27th. So, I mean, I think there's a good squad. Both defenses are 29th and 30th, so they're right there in terms of defense. And I think the defense for Kansas City had to go up against a tough Browns team week 1. The Ravens, on the other hand, you know, I'm not impressed with them so far. They're not what I thought they were going to be. I got Kansas City taking it 2 possessions.
I got Kansas
City
by
3 possessions.
I got Kansas City. There's still issues with Baltimore's offense, or somewhat issues. So I like Kansas City in this one.
All right. So, what do you guys think the biggest game of this week is?
Biggest game?
There's good ones.
You know, make this between college football and the NFL. Biggest game that people got to watch.
Oh, overall between the both?
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I got to start with the 2 college games to talk about: Alabama, Florida, and Auburn and Penn State. So that's definitely 2 of them overall. I don't really know if I like any of these pro games.
I don't know.
Texans Browns, that's mine. I think you got to watch that one to see what these 2 teams are going to be.
Is Texas a fluke? I don't know. I mean,
we'll see. I think that's why you have to watch this game.
Look at that Saints Panthers too.
Yeah, I mean, probably 2. I think the 2 best games this week in the NFL might be the Browns, Texans, Panthers, Saints. Don't forget, I mean, Raiders, Steelers could probably be a pretty good game too. It'll depend. I mean, obviously, all these games in the NFL could be good because these teams are all loaded full of talent for the most part. You know, unless you're Detroit. So, I mean, they got the worst wide receiver core in the country.
I know.
So, I think there's a lot of good games.
Filthy though. Yeah, except Detroit.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta earn it.
Atlanta's not great either. So,
yeah.
You know, but you know, college-wise, I think the game to watch really is Arizona BYU. I know it's 2 teams that really aren't there. I picked Bama to go big, so I don't think you want to watch that one. Penn State Auburn will be good, obviously, but let's finish this show off here with our infamous award that nobody wants to get, but we have to give it out. We're going to be doing this one every Friday to cap off this show. It's a weekly award, and it's been a while since I've had to do this, so give me a second.
Get ready, bro. You're good. Take your time.
Yeah, but we got 6 minutes to close that, so, you know.
We got plenty of time.
Yeah. Matt, I hope you're ready here.
I've got it right here.
All right, well, without any further ado.
Drum roll.
This week's Meathead of the Week.
Everybody, this is first Meathead of the Week on YSN Live here. Once again, I want to thank DJ for the opportunity to get in the show in here. But without further ado, like my man said here, this first Meathead of the Week is the New York Giants. We'll just put it at that. Their penalties cost them the game. They had a run called back by
I think 46 yards
Yeah.
for Daniel Jones got called back on a touchdown.
called back. And I mean, the guy did drop the ball. Slanton dropped the ball. That was horrible. It was wide up. I know a little bit overthrown, but come on, you can catch those overthrown balls. That's why you're in the NFL. And of course, they're at the end with no time left. Who was it? Dexter Lawrence? No, DeMar. No, it was Dexter Lawrence, the guy from Clemson. Offsides.
On the game missing
field goal. He missed the field goal. They would have won if he would have stayed right where he needed to be. He didn't have to move. I don't know if he had like a tick or something and he just took off or whatever. But then they moved him 5 yards. They made the field goal. They lost.
You
the
don't
game.
give a kicker a second chance in the
No!
Matt, let me help you out too. Like I said before the show,
Their offensive line was horrible.
Joe
too.
Judge used to be the special teams guy
Joe Judge.
for New England, and they lose on a special teams call.
Yeah.
So I mean, they got to get better in that
They're
area
meatheads.
because that's what he used to do
Their
for the Patriots.
offensive
They were
line
good with
was
that.
horrible as well.
Well, they'll get a long wait to fix their problems, so we'll have to find out how they do next week. But guys, first full week for us here on YSN.
Awesome.
How about we go through? We got a little bit of time left here, so we might as well fill it before Power Hour up next at 3 p.m.
Stay tuned for that. Those guys.
Actually, before we even get into our highlights from this week, make sure to tune in tonight. Campbell at Brookfield on YSNLive.com. It's Matt and I on the call.
We'll be there.
Let's go, Matt.
Yeah.
should be a great one
Yeah.
here. Randy Clark, what a fantastic
He's
coach.
a great
100 wins
guy.
on the season. Or not on the season, on his 17th season. Should be a great one. But an Ohio State yard sale, how much for the bathrobe on the wall? Send me $30. It's all yours. Yeah, well, I'll sell it $30. I think it was only 20. So, pull or not, I don't know who it is. But highlights from the week, guys. Whether on the show or a game, what's your moment of the week, Mike?
Matt, go first.
Highlight of the week.
Highlight of the week. Taylor Heineke.
That's just your highlight.
Yeah,
Whether
of him playing.
All right.
That kid is a stud. And my dad was talking crap about them last time. I'm like, shut up! Just watch him play. He's like, where did you go to? He was making fun of where he went to college. I told him he went to Old Dominion. A year ago, this guy was finishing up his engineering degree. Now he's probably one of the youngest stars. Yeah, watch out for this kid.
all right.
Watch out.
Still 28 years old though, so he's up
Yeah,
there.
I know he's getting old.
There's some good moments from this week. I like the Monday night game against the Ravens and Raiders. That was one of the better Monday night games in a while, or in some decent time. Some other baseball things too. I mean, it's got some spots getting clinched in baseball too. College football, all the matchups coming up. I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, I mean, just being on YSN. Thanks for DJ and everybody for getting us on.
Thanks, guys. But my highlight of the week, I'm pulling it from our show. I really loved my. I'll get to that. I really loved my rant about the Heisman Trophy. I thought it was a lot of fun.
That was pretty. Yeah, I was sitting there like, yeah.
Matt's getting ready to run for his life as I'm about to start throwing things here. I hate the Heisman Award, but you know what? We'll see how they do this year. But the other one, I think, funniest moment of the week for us. Nathan Peterman.
Yeah.
Nathan Peterman!
I was just gonna say
We've been
that.
watching that like 6 times a day. I don't know if you guys.
We were talking about whether or not
That's so
Derek Carr
funny.
was elite, talking about the back guy.
Well,
It
Matt was
so
making
much
the
fun.
stupid argument saying Nathan Peterman was worth.
I was
even
being
mentioning.
He
sarcastic.
claimed it was a joke. We never know.
Oh, it
what
was a joke. I'll say it right now.
Matt covers up
Nathan
some of his
Peterman
stupidity
is
by jokes.
horrible. Okay, there I said it.
Matt covers up after the show sometimes.
Sometimes.
I think he just says that because the things he says are some dumb sometimes.
Yeah.
He just says, "Oh, I was joking," just so he seems like he knows what he's
No.
saying.
I love how he agreed at first. He's like, wait, no.
No.
All right, well, that's going to do it here. Thank you all for tuning in for the first week. Coming up next, Power Hour, so make sure to stay tuned to that. I've been Alec Brennan, Mike Wolfgang with me, and Matt Morrison. We'll see you all next week.